Hello and welcome to a special interview for The Wire. Amit Shah said the BJP would win over 200 seats. Prashant Kishore retorted and said the BJP would struggle to get to even 100. We now know the result. It's not just astonishing, some would say it's almost unbelievable. Amit Shah has been proved completely wrong. Prashant Kishore has been proved to be absolutely 100% correct. And as for Prime Minister Modi, who taunted Mamata Banerjee, calling her Didi or Didi, well, the incumbent chief minister, who also going to be the future chief minister of Bengal, clearly has had the last laugh. Joining me now to talk about this almost unbelievable outcome is the director of CSDS, and I want to talk to him about what this victory means for Mamata Banerjee, for the BJP, for TMC, for Narendra Modi, but more importantly, what it means for Indian politics. Sanjay Kumar, can you begin by giving me a sense of your assessment of what this two-thirds victory means for Mamata Banerjee? Does she now become the premier opposition politician in the country?
Karan, you started with unbelievable victory. To me, it is not an unbelievable victory. I always maintained the stand right from the beginning for the last 4 months that it is TMC which is going to win election. Yes, the magnitude of victory is much beyond my imagination. I was hoping that TMC would get roughly in the range of say 175, 100 seats. That was also a very high estimate if I was discussing these numbers with some of my colleagues. But it is not unbelievable for me. But your question, does this victory indicate that she would emerge as the undisputed leader of the opposition, the leader who would be opposing Prime Minister Narendra Modi at the national level? I would not try to jump to that conclusion just by this victory. There are strong regional leaders. They are equally popular in their state as popular as Mamata Banerjee. And the difficulty within all these regional parties is that none of the leaders think themselves as smaller compared to the other leader. So yes, there would be a mood. One would get a sense that this is the time for all the regional parties to come together, or some of the regional parties to come together and oppose Narendra Modi at the national level. But I think I would put a big question mark on that. And the reason is very simple. Remember, just before the 2019 Lok Sabha elections, when JDS and Congress came to power in Karnataka, remember that the picture on the stage, all the leaders of the opposition parties were together. But what happened in 2019 Lok Sabha elections? They were unable to form that kind of a alliance which was expected to be formed against Prime Minister Modi.
Absolutely. The capacity of the opposition to fracture and fail to unite when they know that unity could deliver the outcome they want is so well known in India. But I'll come to that in a moment's time. We're talking on Sunday late afternoon. Right through the day, there was the prospect that Mamata Banerjee could win a two-thirds majority for her party but lose her own seat, Nandigram. Now, it seems as if she's forging ahead in Nandigram, and that is unlikely. Had she, I repeat those words, had she lost Nandigram, how much of a setback would that have been?
Oh, that would have been a setback, not for TMC forming the government. Yes, TMC is winning the election, so they would have formed the government. I also rule out the possibility that if Mamata Banerjee had lost from Nandigram, that she would not have been the chief minister. She would still have been the chief minister. But I think it would have given a big moral blow on Mamata Banerjee. The BJP would have got an instrument to attack Mamata Banerjee. They would have kept on attacking Mamata Banerjee. Look at this leader. What kind of a leader is she? Her party has won, and she could not manage to win her own seat. So it is the victory of different leaders of TMC in different constituencies. It is not the victory of Mamata Banerjee. That's the narrative BJP would have tried to build. So it would have given a moral setback to Mamata Banerjee, and also the kind of jubilation which we see and the kind of congratulatory messages which Mamata Banerjee is receiving at the moment from various regional party leaders, that would have not come to Mamata Banerjee in such a big way.
Let's flip now. How much of a setback, or maybe I should use a different word, how embarrassing is this failure to win for Prime Minister Modi? Not only did he make an enormous personal effort with his rallies, But he went out of his way to personally taunt Mamta Banerjee with his Didi o Didi. How much of a setback or embarrassment is this for Mr. Modi?
Any party losing an election, it is a setback. So in that respect, yes, it is going to be a setback for BJP, more so for Prime Minister Modi, because Prime Minister Modi has campaigned so aggressively in West Bengal. He campaigns in other states as well. He doesn't leave out any state, whether it is Delhi, Bihar or West Bengal. But West Bengal was seen as, we kept saying that it was a National Assembly election. It was not an assembly election which was being contested in one state. The picture which emerged from the way campaigning was being done by the BJP, that it was a National Assembly election. So yes, it is a big setback for Prime Minister Modi in person and BJP in general, that in spite of leading an aggressive campaign against Mamta Banerjee, attacking Mamta Banerjee personally, attacking Mamta Banerjee and Abhishek Banerjee for various kinds of or charging them with various kinds of corruption deeds, still BJP could not even cross the 100 seat. That's going to be a big setback for the party.
Now, this was probably one of the most divisive campaigns fought by the BJP, one of the most polarizing, with a huge stress on Hindu religious elements and the whole philosophy of Hindutva. Has the outcome shown that there are limits to how far polarization and Hindutva can go? That at the end of the day, what you could have ended up doing, which has happened in Bengal, is ensured that 80 to 90% of the minority votes go to Mamta, and also ensure that 40 to 40% remain of the Hindu votes in Mamta. So are there now clear limits to how far polarization, how far Hindutva can go?
I have a slight disagreement. I did not see the BJP's campaign as very communal campaign in West Bengal. BJP's campaign may have been more communal in some other states. Jai Shri Ram was a popular slogan of BJP. They made it a very popular slogan, but that slogan did not have that Hindutva tinge. I think BJP got the fertile ground in West Bengal. Large number of people wanted a change. So this Parivartan was the big thing, which large number of people in West Bengal expected. They were willing to have a Parivartan, and BJP tried to make best out of that. And these were all layering to that effort. So I slightly disagree that BJP's campaign was very, very communal. I think the more communal campaign was in Assam, just hinting. BJP kept saying, look at the Congress party, which claims itself as a very secular party. Look at the parties with which BJP, with which Congress has formed an alliance. It is the AUDF, which is equally a communal party. So giving just an hint enabled BJP to polarize the Hindu votes in its favor. But in Bengal, I think the tone and tenor on the religious line was not as sharp as I have seen BJP using in some other states.
Okay, I simply point out that many members of the audience will be surprised to hear you say that this wasn't a very polarized campaign, that the BJP has fought more polarizing campaigns in other states.
Karan, I'm not saying that it was not a... No, I'm not saying that it was not a polarized campaign, but I said it was not a communalized campaign. Polarized, yes, polarized with regard to one personality, Mamta Banerjee, opposing Mamta Banerjee, because the Trinamool Congress was contesting elections only and only in the name of Mamta Banerjee. So they kept attacking Mamta Banerjee personally. So they tried to polarize the voters of Bengal, not on communal lines, but on the personality cult. Mamta Banerjee is not good for the state, or Mamta Banerjee is good for the state.
Let me bring another issue to your attention. Many people believe that at the heart of the BJP campaign was the Modi cult, the building up of the personality, the image of the Prime Minister. And in his speeches, he clearly attempted to demonize Mamta Banerjee, to taunt her, to denigrate her, to suggest that she had lost the support and the popularity of the Bengali people. Do you believe that we now see limits to the Modi cult? It has clearly shown that there are parts of the country where the image and power, the oratory of Narendra Modi doesn't deliver votes. It may deliver curious people at rallies, but they don't translate into votes.
Karan, there is another way to look at whether there is a limit to Prime Minister Modi's cult or not. This is not the only election. Why I have been maintaining this stand that BJP will not be able to win this election, not because of the polls which we have conducted, but also looking at the historical data. There have been 18 assembly elections since 2014 Lok Sabha elections until now. And there is no single assembly election where BJP managed to retain the vote share BJP got in the Lok Sabha elections in the same state, even though BJP managed to win election. The last Haryana assembly election, BJP managed to win that election. They managed to come to power. They defeated Congress, which was ruling the state for 10 years. But the vote share of BJP was in the assembly election was far less compared to the Lok Sabha election. So there was no single state where BJP managed to retain its Lok Sabha vote share when the state went for polls for an assembly election. So in the Lok Sabha elections, BJP got 40% votes in West Bengal. So that is why my own estimate was that BJP will certainly lose 3-4% votes compared to its vote share of Lok Sabha. And that will not help BJP in winning this election. Trinamool was sure to retain the vote, while the estimates suggest Trinamool has not only been able to retain the vote, they have been able to increase its vote share. So it's not about cult, Prime Minister Modi's cult limit, or the West Bengal election indicating limits to Prime Minister Modi's cult. This is a trend in the past also. So we can look at the broader trend. In the assembly election, it does not work to the extent as it works in the Lok Sabha election.
Let me put it like this. The fact that Mr. Modi was perhaps the biggest campaigner for the BJP seemed almost undeniable. We saw him on television sometimes 2 or 3 times a day addressing rallies, and it hasn't delivered results. Has this damaged Mr. Modi's political brand? Now I'm talking nationwide, not just Bengal. Has it damaged it? Given that it happens at the same time as many people are also questioning his handling of COVID, has the combination therefore damaged him?
Damage would be too strong a word. I would not prefer to use the word damage, but yes, I would say it has dented the Prime Minister's ability or his image to garner votes for the party. I think this narrative is becoming stronger and stronger election after election. And when I say election after election, I am referring to the various assembly elections, that Prime Minister Modi's ability to pull votes for BJP in a Lok Sabha election still remains intact, because we only have the 2019 elections, the latest election, in our mind. But Prime Minister Modi's ability to garner votes for BJP in a state assembly election, that's being questioned. We can put a big question mark on that.
So has some of the myths around Mr. Modi been damaged? Has it at least cracked?
Oh, certainly. And the parallel narrative which is going on is that, and Prime Minister Modi's ability to pull votes for the BJP even weakens in the state where you have a very strong regional leader, a strong regional party, and we can keep taking name of one state to another. So you look at different states, wherever BJP had faced a challenge with a strong regional party, a strong regional leader, BJP's ability or Prime Minister Modi's ability to pull votes for the BJP has been questioned, or it has Prime Minister Modi has not got the kind of success which he got in the Lok Sabha elections.
What impact will Mamata Banerjee's incredible victory have on the mood, the morale, and the general support for the opposition in the country? Do you believe that this will give a fillip to all the opposition parties, including those that performed badly in Bengal? Or are you of the view that Mr. Modi faces particular problems at state levels when he's up against a regional party? It's much easier for him at state levels to defeat Congress.
Well, still, this trend we find that whenever BJP is up against a strong regional party and a strong regional leader, BJP faces a bigger challenge compared to wherever in the state where BJP faces the challenge from the BJP. So that trend remains. But yes, generally the victory of Mamata Banerjee is going to give a flip or a morale boost to the regional parties in different states. But I doubt that the same kind of enthusiasm we could see among the Congress leader or among the left party leaders. Even if they are enthusiastic, they cannot express that because they have been the contender, they have been the competitor of Mamata Banerjee in the state. But I really doubt that there would be jubilation within the Congress of BJP getting defeated. Yes, they would have some solace that at least BJP did not come to power, but their poor performance in Assam, their poor performance in Kerala, and a dismal performance in West Bengal, that would be haunting their mind much more than BJP is getting defeated in West Bengal.
I'll come in a moment's time to ask you specifically about Congress and the left, but one more question about the impact of the Bengal result on Indian politics as a whole. There were many people who speculated that if Mamata wins, it could be a turning point in the way Indian politics is developing. Now, Mamata has not just won. She's won a 2/3 majority, and she's kept the BJP fairly embarrassingly below 100 seats. Do you believe this is a turning point, or is that just rhetoric and perhaps exaggeration?
I believe that this is a turning point, or this could be the turning point. At least the starting of the turning point. And the why I say that this could be a turning point, that now the voices of dissent or the voices of dissatisfaction against Prime Minister Modi or BJP's government at the center would come, would get crystallized in different nooks and corners of the country. I think that the farmers' agitation, which has been lying low for the last couple of months, that would get a fillip because they had campaigned in West Bengal. I'm not saying that their campaign resulted in Trinamool Congress victory, but some claim the farmers would be able to take that. Look, this is the performance of BJP across the country, and this is a rejection of the BJP's policy, the new farmers bill. So the voices of dissent, we keep getting news about. The Panchayat poll has also taken place in UP, and the counting is also taking place today itself. And during the Panchayat poll, almost 600 to 700 school teachers have died during the Panchayat polls. And all the teachers union, including the teachers union backed by the RSS, had given a call to the teachers, boycott the counting, which is taking place today. So the voices of dissent would start coming from different sections. And when I say different sections, farmers, teachers, students. So that from that point of view, I see that this is going to be a turning point.
One other quick question. Do you see any difference in the way the BJP treats its opponents, the way it treats critical journalists, the way the law is used, whether the sedition law or the National Security Act against dissenters? Do you think that will change? Do you think perhaps the attitude of Yogi Adityanath to people who tweet for help because they are in need of shortage, his attitude will change?
I doubt that attitude is going to change by just one defeat, even though it's a big defeat. Attitudes doesn't change so quickly. There would be some, moderation for some time. Maybe for a next couple of months, we might see BJP going slow on all the things which you have mentioned. But I doubt that things are going to change drastically with all the things which you mentioned, just because BJP had got defeated in West Bengal.
What about within the BJP itself? Will there be more critical comment made about Amit Shah and Narendra Modi, the two men who were the face of this campaign? Do you see this as a moment when perhaps there could be more outspoken dissent within the party, or is that unlikely?
Critical comment within BJP against Prime Minister Modi and Amit Shah is unthinkable, I believe. Yes, there would be some simmering unease within the party, but I don't think that we are going to hear anything critical coming out from any leader of the BJP against Prime Minister Modi or Amit Shah. I think BJP would try and even celebrate the results in West Bengal. and look at the narrative. They've all started saying, we have improved from 3 to 83. 80 seats gain is not a defeat in an election. So that narrative, they will try to take help of this narrative. And I don't expect a lot of noises or even some noises coming from within the BJP against Prime Minister Modi or Amit Shah.
Let's come to the Congress, and after that, let's come to the left. It's been literally wiped out in Bengal. It's failed to win for the first time in 40 years in Kerala, where every election has brought a new party to power. And in the process, the excellent performance that Congress and its allies put in 2019, when they won 19 out of 20 seats in Kerala, has been wiped out as well. And it's done very, very poorly in Assam. Is Congress beginning to fall apart as a national opposition to Mr. Modi?
It has already fallen apart, and the defeat in Kerala and their inability to make a good performance in Bengal and also the defeat in Assam, that's only going to add to the Congress, the difficult situation of the Congress. So not Congress has fallen apart as a national alternative to BJP just because of these defeats. I think that that process had already begun. That moment had come maybe a couple of years ago.
Can I ask you this? Are the Gandhis the core problem? Is in fact the belief that Rahul will be PM if ever Congress in the unlikely event can form a government? Is that the core problem? Does Congress need to get rid of the Gandhis and Rahul Gandhi in particular?
If you talk to the people, common people, I think a lot of people have started believing that yes, Rahul Gandhi is the problem for Congress. Leave aside the common people, even within the party. Look at the party, look at the situation of this party. A party where large number of their leaders, they don't have the trust on their own leader. So it's very difficult to imagine party holding together and working together under the leadership of, technically Rahul Gandhi is not the party president, but a lot of leaders see him as the person who takes a lot of decisions. So yes, generally there is a feeling that Rahul Gandhi is a big problem for Congress, and till the time Rahul Gandhi remains at the helm of affairs of the Congress, very difficult for the party to revive.
What about the left? They created a record by winning a second consecutive election in Kerala, something I said earlier hasn't happened for 40 years, but they've been virtually wiped out in Bengal, a state that they ruled for 35 years. They virtually don't exist today. How should the left view this? It's a contradictory outcome, an astonishing record-breaking victory in Kerala and a wipeout in Bengal.
I would say that the victory of the left in Kerala is largely the victory of Pinarayi Vijayan, the chief minister, his own popularity. I'm not saying that he is not within the party, he is from the party, but I think his policies, and largely the policies, the welfare policies of the government with regard to the poor, that has helped left front in creating a history in Kerala. So yes, it is a very difficult time for left front for the left also. They need to rethink because they should try and analyze the victory in Kerala also. They should not be jubilant about the victory. It is not largely the support for the party, but I think it is largely because of the personal popularity of the chief minister. That has helped left front in actually creating a history in Kerala.
But coming to the end of this interview, Mr. Kumar, let me ask you two more questions. There's been a lot of criticism right across the political spectrum, with the exception of the BJP, of the way the election commission has handled this election. It was an institution that Indians looked up to and thought very highly of. Has the election commission damaged its standing and raised worrying questions about its performance? Or is that an exaggerated criticism?
No, I think there is no disagreement that the image of the election commission has taken a dent. At least, see, when the corona cases were spreading so fast and there were appeal or there were demand for clubbing the 6th, 7th, 8th phase of elections in West Bengal, I don't think election commission took a positive note of that Election Commission did not make an effort even to call the leaders of all the political parties, an all-party meeting, the stakeholders of the stakeholders who were contesting elections in West Bengal. So they did not make even an attempt to try and work out with political parties to reduce the phases of campaign. They came up with technical answers to the question that no, it won't be possible, and if at all phases have to be clubbed, it can be clubbed to the end phase, which is the 8th phase. So Election Commission did not do anything sufficient to convince the people that they tried their best to make leaders follow the COVID protocol. It did not even issue any instructions to the political leaders. See, the star campaigners of political parties were on the dais without using masks. At least Election Commission should have issued notices to these leaders that please follow COVID protocol. Even that was not done. So there is no doubt that the image of the Election Commission has seen a dent, a big dent.
My last question. Many people believe that the tactical genius behind Mamata Banerjee's victory is Prashant Kishore. He's announced this afternoon, first on NDTV, and then he repeated it on India Today, that he now wants to move away from this. He wants to do something else. But will he be remembered as perhaps one of the greatest strategists of election campaigning in India?
Oh, definitely. Because I think in this entire West Bengal election, if there were few names which were discussed quite often, Mamata Banerjee, Prime Minister Modi, and remember Prashant Kishore's name was always discussed because of his famous statement that BJP will not reach 3-figure mark. BJP will be below 100. So people were keeping an eye on that. And BJP has not been able to reach the 300 mark. So yes, he is seen as one of the very successful political strategists. He has again, proved that in West Bengal. So I have no doubt that people, political parties, political leaders, analysts, people are going to remember him as one of the greatest political strategists India had up till now. Who knows? Tomorrow there would be another Prashant Kishore by some other name.
Absolutely. Who knows what the future holds? And that is something that today's election results have brought home, because no one yesterday was willing to predict that Mamata Banerjee would get a 2/3 victory. No one yesterday was willing to predict that the Prime Minister would be feeling very embarrassed and perhaps very regretful of his Didi or Didi tone. So who knows what the future brings? Thank you very much, Sanjay ji, for this interview. Take care. Stay safe.
Thank you.